3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Bopcast. Today on the show, I have my good friend, Gabby Braddock. Gabby, how are you doing today?
I am doing splendid. All the more better when I walked in the room.
We are here, ready to do it. This is long overdue, and we were just talking about the previous episode. Actually, our previous guest was Bobby Doc, who is an artist, and we'll get into a lot of the context here. But really, he's actually the reason that I know that you and your husband, Tyler, exist. And I'll just say, you and your husband co-own a studio together. You have your own business as well, so we're going to dive into that today. But just so we can set the context before we move forward, can you just give people a little gist of who you are and what you do? And you can kind of take as long or as short to say that as you want. And then, as you know, it's a podcast. We're just going to let it kind of flow from there.
For sure. So my maiden name is Gabriela Barrero, and I met Tyler back in 2013. He was operating a music studio out of his home. And I was originally in hospitality management at CCM. It was my first year. I was ready to just get things rolling. We were set up by a mutual friend and just literally fell in love right away when I was 18 and he was 20. So wow. I saw him operating this studio out of his home, and I just, as time went on, and then as he graduated college, as I went in and I switched my major into accounting, I just really realized, why is this staying in your house? Why is this studio staying in your house? I was like, institute a stack stand. We need to institute this. We need to raise pricing. I just kind of put all the structure into his business at a very young age, even when it wasn't technically a business yet. And I then was given the opportunity to do an internship with Ernst & Young, which is one of the big four accounting firms. They then sent me overseas to work out of England. And the doors to the world were open to me because it was such an easy process of getting that internship and of traveling overseas and getting paid $10K a month from this internship. And I came home, and Tyler and I broke up over that time period because as I was expanding and as my brain was expanding, he was still home, operating out of his home studio. There was a really, it was just misaligned. So we broke up for a very short period of time. We got back together. He met me in Ireland. We literally broke up for a week. He met me in Ireland. We were back together. Everything was good. And we came home, and I was like, you literally need to move this now. This needs to move out of your parents' home because what are you doing?
Or else we're going to break up again.
Literally, because I can't go and I can't have all this success and you can't be stuck at home. That's not how I can't do relationships like that. I can't do friendships like that. We need to be on the same energy level, on the same level. And so he literally found a studio that weekend, found a space that weekend. And then by the time I was officially done with my internship, we were moving in. I had accepted another job at a different accounting firm. Hated it. 2 weeks in, I quit, and I told him, you know what, I am all in. Let's build this business together. So I'm essentially co-founder, and I say co-owner, but at this point now, I'm just very high level, a high level advisor to Tyler with, I always put in for grants. We just got a $15,000 grant. The check was just delivered yesterday. So
I should try to apply for some of those.
Yes, yeah, definitely get in on grants, please. Okay. It is the biggest,
you might have to put me on.
Yes, I will.
We definitely need a couple grants.
Yes, any resources I can, I'll definitely send your way. But that's kind of my position in the vault, and throughout time, we just kind of kept defying the odds, right? Kept increasing pricing, kept increasing our client base, kept just amazing relationships with our clients, regardless of what happened. We always aim to have an amazing customer service, which was just Tyler and I. Yeah. And so that's kind of, excuse me, that's the kombucha talking there.
All good. It's a podcast.
It's a podcast.
Everything's allowed.
You got to let it roll,
Uncensored.
Uncensored. Don't censor us, okay?
I say raw conversations for a reason.
Yes.
People don't think. I don't know. I've already
Very
canceled
raw.
myself on here, so it is
hey,
what it is.
We have to. We all need to be canceled every once in a while.
I know. I think it's
healthy.
powerful.
We need to humble ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Big time.
So then I went from there to owning my own. I really decided I was kind of getting bored. with the vault as COVID was going in, and I was like, I need to start my own thing, and I'm ready. Like, I'm just ready to start my own thing. We need to focus on you building out a team. We need to focus on you sitting in your genius. So that's when I built out No Plan B Coaching originally, taking on a ton of coaching clients that were local small business owners, helping them build out their goals, their processes, their systems. And then that's kind of, rocketed from there. It's over the past 2.5 years has truly skyrocketed, and I just love what I do. And then I built out my network almost a year ago now, which is the Next Generation Network. That as well has skyrocketed, and I literally like just wake up in the morning and go to sleep at night, and I just can't believe that this is I know it sounds so cliche, and like, I know people say this, but I just literally can't believe that this is the life that him and I live with our 2 kids and our beautiful condo, like our beautiful studio and office. Like, I can never believe that this is what's happened.
I've had a little similar experience even recently where like, as you know, it's the business is waves. So like, we just had like a wave, like a lot, like, and I told my partner this, I said, it's going to come all at once. Just wait. And then months and months go by. I'm like, just wait. And then it just kind of hit us. And, whatever. We edited more samples than we even did at client episodes. It's just like crazy shit. And I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, wow, this is actually like becoming a real thing, And like, I have been doing it full time. But just to think like, okay, sure, like I'm like making enough to get by. But like even that, even the fact that I have time freedom is just amazing. Like just that feeling of, hey, my friends have to go to work, like I don't have, like I don't have to, like I get to do it,
Yes.
But that is an amazing feeling to literally look at everything and try to take that perspective on like, wow, I actually have this.
Yeah. Like people pray for this. Like this is people's dreams. Like someone's dream is to engineer their week to only work Monday and Tuesday and be off the rest of the week. Like people's dreams are what we are living. And I think I'm the kind of person that just never takes any of that stuff for granted. Like I'm so appreciative.
I think some people are just praying too much and not doing as much.
Yes. Not enough action.
Not enough action.
Risk-taking.
I think it was somebody said it today that I read on LinkedIn or something. They were like, the difference is like almost always execution.
Yeah.
Because like you can have all the talent in the world, but if you're not going to execute, then it's all wasted. If you don't actually go and use it with other people and integrate it into systems. And that's what I realized. I'm like, you can just brute force a lot of this and you'll burn out fast, but you can get over so many things by just like, okay, I'll learn it. I'm not an expert, but who cares? I'll learn it,
Straight up executing. Like you're going to beat the competition every single time if you just show up.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So what did you think that, like, well, you went to the accounting route, but like, what did you think you were going to do with your life, like, before that,
Work in hospitality management. Like my obsession was, I've always been obsessed with people. I love their stories. Like you can literally go back to any year in time and it's going to be Gabby asking questions to someone and wanting to get to know them. Like,
oh, you do need
this
a
has
podcast.
always been me. I love it, but it would always make people uncomfortable and I never knew why. But I realized that a lot of times people had so much within them that it was hard for me with the questions that I would ask for them not to come up with, traumatic things coming to the surface. And so I had to kind of learn how to ask questions, but I was convinced I would go into event planning, which I do now as well, And
I've been to one.
Yes, exactly.
Lots of fun.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that was really I was convinced that I would go into event planning and I'd be an event planner.
Oh, wow.
I was actually in between going to a school for accounting or economy. Economics rather. I love economics. And I was in between economics, accounting, or continuing with hospitality management. Honestly, it came down to a huge scholarship that I got from Bloomfield College. They gave me like almost a full ride. So I don't come from money. Like I don't come from anything like that. My father's Colombian. My mom's like Norwegian and European.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I'm first generation on my dad's side. And then my mom's side has like been here forever. But I grew up very much like maybe we were like hanging on to the middle class title, but like we were very much on the lower rung. And I didn't realize that until I got older.
Which is good.
You know, like, yes, like my parents did everything that they could. My dad did everything he could to make sure that we were provided for. Yep. But it also let me know, like, I don't have the same advantages as everyone else does. Like, I don't have the same opportunities as everyone else does due to the fact that, like, my lack of network, like, because I'm first generation on my dad's side, guess where a lot of my dad's network is? It's in Colombia. You know what I mean? Like, all his family's there. Like, all his, like, all the things that he loves is there. Or when he came here, he grew up in poverty. So all his connections aren't really connections that I can necessarily use to further myself. So I had to get a huge scholarship for college, and Bloomfield College was like, we'll give you like $40K a year. So then I only had to pay like $4K a year.
Just so we can just touch on this real quick. Education is literally the best business model ever, because you don't need to increase the value to increase the prices. You can just increase prices.
Yes.
Like, and you don't need to change anything.
And people view it as a necessity, so they'll keep showing up and they'll keep enrolling, and however long that works
it's
for,
the biggest
I'm not
scam
sure.
that exists.
It is.
Yeah, and it's not that it's not valuable. It's just for the money, it's not valuable. Like, for in most cases.
A lot of degrees are not valuable.
Like, if you did a course for $160,000, that course would almost have to guarantee that you at least make that back. But then college is just like, well, you know, you also just figure it out after this. And we don't guarantee anything, you know. It's like, it's amazing.
Yes.
But because the prices just go up, and I'm just like, this is like just not fundamentally. This business would never succeed if it wasn't education.
Yes.
You know, which is crazy. But did your parents was there any pressure from them for you to kind of go to college and be, you know, whatever, quote unquote, successful and have this life? Or did they have anything? Was there any of that, or were they kind of just like, do what you want to do?
Well, that pressure was placed on me by me because my parents, like, I grew up reading like Napoleon Hill and having quote books, like my dad raised me on that stuff. So anything that you've read, like, I've probably read, and I read it when I was younger. Like, I love it. I was raised on just my dad really helping me hone in on my mindset from a very young age. Some of it didn't really make sense, but it was what it was. Like, I played soccer year round, like me and my sister both did. So we'd be hot as heck, like playing soccer in like 100-degree weather. And my dad would be like, just imagine you're in Antarctica. Like, literally, it's your mind.
So
like, you have to control your mind.
Yeah,
he was like my mindset coach, like literally since I was
God.
born, which is two things, because as a child, like, I technically shouldn't have had to completely overregulate my emotions. Like, I technically should have been able to just communicate and be open and bright. Just be a kid. Like, when I fell down and was hurt, I could have just been coddled instead of like, it's just in your mind. Like, that's not a bit, like, this isn't a big deal. So like, I just kind of learned to brush over things. Like, all my accomplishments completely brushed over. Like, all that I've achieved, I'm 27, and everything that I have, to me, is so completely normal. And there's parts of me that know that it shouldn't be, and I should be able to reward myself more and to congratulate myself more. But to me, I've just normalized success. So I think that's really the answer, is that like my parents normalized success, and then they also had 2 kids while my sister and I were in high school. So I have a younger brother and a younger sister that are 9 and 12. So I really like high school and accomplishments that I had in college. Like, it really wasn't a big deal. I didn't do college tours. We didn't do anything. My parents didn't have the money. So it was known that I was going to go to the community college. That was it. That was my path. I didn't have any other option.
You're on your own. Yep.
Yeah. So go to the community college. That's what they would pay for. So they paid for 2 years at community college. And then past that, I had to take care of everything else, which like is like, okay, great. But like at CCM, I was able to play sports that then granted me scholarships, but scholarships with checks written out to me. So I kind of accumulated a big savings account with all the scholarship checks that were written out to me from playing soccer and basketball. So it's like, in a way, I knew that I would always do this. Like, I knew that I was always made to build a big impact. Like, I remember it was like 4th grade or 5th grade, and I came home with my report card. Like, I've always been a stellar in school. Like, it's just my thing. I love education. And like putting it onto a piece of paper and then being like, shoot for the moon, and like, you'll go, you know, you'll hit the stars, you know, that thing, putting it on the side and showing my parents because I wanted their praise, and getting nothing. So like, I always have been this like self-sustaining vehicle, which I'm always very open about. Like, it has its negative and it has its positives. It's like, it was lonely for a while because I really can't, I had to curate a friend group around me that could move at the level that I move at. Like, and I had to stop like killing myself that like, this is just the way that I operate. I move very quickly, and like, what it takes someone a year to achieve, I'll do in a month. And like, I'll keep repeating and I'll stay consistent. And like, that's how I believe that I'll beat the competition. I'll beat them every single time, right? Like, I'm not going to execute once. I'm going to execute every single time I'm going to show up. And that was just like what my dad instilled in me. And I thank him a lot for it. Like, I wish he could have given me a break, but in theory, the fact that I live the way that I live now, I'm happy. Like, I'm happy that I had those morals and those like a mission. Like, he almost instilled a mission in me from birth. Like, you have to be the best. You have to make an impact. Like, love, compassion, and respect. LCR. Like, love, compassion, and respect. Like, that's what was always instilled. Like, how can you say anything different when you have a dad that came over here when he was 8 and works like 70 to 80 hours a week for you, like painstaking labor? Like, how can you look him in his eyes and tell him that you won't succeed? That's just my mindset. Like, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I want to retire my dad. Like, I want to retire both my parents. Like, I want them to not have to work. I want them to work for me, you know? Yeah. But when that day comes is hopefully will be a great day. Like, I have dreams of like literally driving a Ferrari into my parents' driveway and being like, hey dad, this is yours. Like, that's just some of the things that I really hope to do. So you're never going to hear me talk about like huge money goals, because to me, money is just like, no offense to anyone, it's like the lowest blow of a goal.
It's also fake.
Like, it's the lowest blow. Yeah. Like, oh, okay, yay, good for you, you made $100,000.
But it's like made up.
It's anyway. and it's so like, you never know the full story. Like, you never know where it came from. You never know the background. What I'm saying too. Right? Like, it's just, it's so fabricated, and you come up with a number and you don't know, okay, well, what was your expenses? How much did you spend? Like, where did you invest the money? How much did you take out and pay yourself? Yeah. Just a lot of things that honestly sometimes people don't even know. So you know,
when people, and I assume you've been asked this question before, but when people say to you, oh, how did you do all this by 27? Mm-hmm. You just really, the answer is, I mean, sure, you just give us the background, but it seems like the speed thing is very important to you. And two things. One, that is the name of the business. There was no plan B.
Yes.
You only just executed. And then you would just, hey, you get a dip, no problem, keep executing.
Yes.
So that's why that's the name of your business, I would assume. And then what I also gather from that is it really is a speed thing, because people talk about speed a lot. I think it's underrated. I think where people get caught up on speed is that they don't want to be going in the wrong direction. And I'm not really afraid of it. Like, I'm not really that afraid of that at all. But especially when you're young, because it's like, what is the wrong direction if it brought you to the right direction? Like, they create these fictional examples of like, you'll just go down you'll be in the wrong lane for 100 miles, and it's like, okay, so then you can pivot the next day. Like, it's just, so I think speed's really important, and I've learned how important it is. As long as you're not sacrificing the fundamentals, I think, why not go faster? So
it's like a sports, like, to me, everything in my head always goes back to sports,
especially soccer and basketball too, because they're just like, it's not like football when you're waiting for the guy,
right? Like, the sports that I played were so strategic, and I spent years playing them. Yep. Right? Like, especially if like,
me too,
you're in the game, you're you're a captain, you're a leader within the team, like, you're bringing the team to, like, we need to win. Like, we show up to the soccer field to win. We don't show up there. But I don't think a lot of people think of their business like that. Like, I think a lot of people literally wake up and they're like, literally subconsciously, like, I'm gonna lose today. Literally, I'm not gonna go to the gym, like, not gonna eat well, like, I'm not gonna go on Instagram and do anything. I'm not gonna do any kind of sales activity. Like, they're not even thinking of it. But it was a relaxing day, I just had to relax. Okay, but then you repeated that day for 7 days, turned into a week, and now it's 3 months later. Like you're showing up and you have a mentality that's setting you up for failure and you're going to lose. And I take days off, I'll take weeks off, but even in my off time, I have things set up that I'm still showing up. Like I think it's this weird connotation that we have around being off. How much are we actually escaping? Like, what are you trying to escape and why are you trying to escape it? Because maybe you shouldn't be offering that service if you need to take off for a whole week. Like, what's wrong with your process?
Yeah, I wrote this down the other day. I'm like, if what you're doing didn't, if following your passion didn't change your life, then it's not your passion. Like, if your life didn't change yet, then it must not be the thing.
Yes.
So get out of there.
Like, if you're still miserable, question yourself.
Like, even today, like, I went in my pool for 30 minutes today and felt so guilty about it in the middle of the day. You know, it's like, but like, I have that similar thing where it's like, oh shit, like, how can I, but I'm like, all right, dude, I was actually talking to my girlfriend. She's like, why do you need 9 reasons to go in your pool? You know what I'm saying?
Go in the damn
and
pool.
I'm like, I just need. I'm talking to her and I'm literally like, there's only 2 weeks left of summer and like I'm not gonna be able to go in the pool and then but I should get this done. And she's like, just go in the fucking pool. Like it's all good, dude.
Yes.
And I still had a productive day. It's like it didn't kill my day.
Gosh, yes.
Yeah, so it's like
I love laying by the pool.
Yeah,
I love
it's the best.
sun.
And like I got the sun. I got my 20 minutes of sunlight, whatever. Went in the pool, like it was cool. But if you do, like you said, what you said was perfect. I think if I find myself all day every day in the fucking pool, it's like something's wrong. But I don't know, people start with ideas and then they get but you know how it is. You've seen so many things through that you get it. It's that people have always been on a track that's been paved for them. So, and everybody else has their ruts in that track. So you're on a path that's been paved. It's all like you can just see it through. When you're carving your own path, you need to make the ruts on the path. Like you are the one to take the next step. So once they get past the inspiration and excitement stage, that's when they day after day after day can't execute because they were running off that excitement, and now when it got hard, they couldn't. That excitement wasn't there anymore. So then what do? Well,
you stop showing up.
You stop showing up.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people do.
Yes. Yeah, it is. Oh my gosh. It is always so eye-opening to me. And that's why when I found my crew of people that like are just ride or dies and they invest into me and I invest into them, like it was like unlocking some sort of code because I thought I was waiting so long for people to fill roles that they didn't want to fill. Like I really was like looking to people to be certain things that they never had the intention of being. And that was hard for me, because at some point in time, and like also going back to the name No Plan B, although there's no plan B, the reason why I originally wanted it to be that is because like of the actual like birth control, like, you take plan B.
Yes.
Right? So when I was 18 at my senior shore, I was sexually assaulted, and the next day I had to take a plan B, okay? Because it was it was just this crazy thing. I got no help. I had no resources. I had no clue what was going on.
And this is that's not uncommon.
No. Oh my gosh. It's literally, I would say 99.99999%
a friend who's advocating for this a lot.
Women and men. Because it happens to men too, right? And like, we don't know. I mean, you don't have to take a plan B, but like,
no, but it's 70% more than they say. I think it's probably more. It's probably most women will have some kind of experience like that. Unfortunately.
Yes. Oh my gosh. No, it's probably more. It's like literally 1 in 3.
Because that's just reported. I mean.
Yes. Most of it isn't reported.
And the amount of men.
Because why would they?
Men
why would they?
Never answer yes to that, even if they were. You know what I'm saying? So like it's all of it's underreported.
It's like a confidence thing. You know what I mean? And so I had, the next day I had to take plan B, and like that brought me down a really dark path, like right up till meeting Tyler. Like Tyler was like, ooh, wait. I was drinking, like, and I was 18, okay? But like I was drinking and I was smoking, and like there's nothing wrong with either of those activities other than the fact that I had no control over them. Like I completely.
It depends why you're doing it.
Yes, and I wasn't doing it for the right reasons.
Yes.
And so then we met. And we kind of like drank a little bit more for a little bit longer. And then like I went into college, and like I was the one who started to become very extreme with it. Like I would always have to black out. Like it was not good. Like the self-control was not there. And so it came to a time where I was done with that internship at Ernst & Young. Like I was kind of in the crossroads between going with Tyler's business or going for the money, going for the passion or going for the money. And I had to sit there and literally stare at myself in the mirror, like in a depression. I couldn't, like, all the food in my fridge was moldy. My entire apartment I lived in at that time, because I left my parents' house at 21. Like I've been self-sustaining for 6 years now, but I left my parents' house all of a sudden at 21 because we had an argument, moved into my grandma's like basement apartment. It was disgusting. It was a mess. I was in the deepest depression, and I literally stood at myself in the mirror and I was like, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? And it turned to the point where I had made myself gain so much weight because I thought that would protect me. I didn't want anyone to hurt me anymore. And even though it had been years, like I think at that point I was 22, like it had been 4 years since I was assaulted, but I never actually wanted to come to the terms that happened to me, because how could me, someone so strong, right? Like how could that happen to me? And how could I let that happen to me? That was what my mindset was. I let that happen to me. I probably wanted it, right? Like all these things that you hear in trial cases, I was experiencing, and I had to just come to terms with it and like read more books and educate myself more and open myself up to people. And Tyler and I had a conversation, and I was like, Tyler, what I really want to do is I want us to start a family. Like I want us to have our kids now. And so that's why no plan B, because then when I got pregnant with Adriana, which was completely by choice, you know, I was 23, was not a mistake. And people kept asking me, was this an accident? You know, was she an accident? Why are you guys doing this? Like, cause we were only boyfriend and girlfriend. So that was my thing. Like there was no plan B, because I got pregnant, right? Yeah. Like we obviously had unprotected sex, right?
It worked.
I got pregnant, and this was the plan A. Like this was actually the plan A. So when I came to like names for my business and names for a book and names for things, I always wanted no plan B. Like there was no plan B, and there is no plan B, right? Like there will never be a plan B for me. I refuse to, because when I chose my plan B, when I chose things only for the money and for the accolades and to make other people happy and live other people's ideas of what my life should be, I was depressed. I was my unhappiest. I was like loving alcohol. I was loving escaping from reality. But then when I chose my plan A, and then when I dedicated myself towards it, which was such a risk, like I don't think people understand the amount of money that I could be making if I was within public accounting. We could have all of our dreams and then some, but I probably wouldn't be here. Like as in I would have probably gotten so depressed that I always tell people this, like I probably would have taken my own life, because I'm the kind of person who thrives off my environment. And just those environments within these top firms and these top accounting companies are dog eat dog. And not in a team way, okay? In a really horrible way. And so...
And there's a lot of guys, too. Yes. Male-dominated.
I probably wouldn't have stayed with Tyler. I probably would have been like, ooh, I should just like, no, I'm better alone. Like, I wouldn't have been a team. I would have just been solely focused on myself, which I think is almost what society wants you to do. Yep. You're the top dog. Like, you're the one who should be winning. But no. Like, it's about the team. Like, we need to go back to the team. And so that's why, like, no plan B really comes from the fact that like when I started planning for our family, we didn't want to use plan B. Yeah. Like, cause we could have just run to the grocery store after like deciding we wanted Adriana. Like both of our kids were one hit wonders. Like essentially both of our kids just took one time. Like they were
Tyler,
so
what's
ready.
Up, dude?
Yeah, right.
Those
Share
genetics
the book.
Be popping, son. Them genetics.
But
be
like
good.
I always think that like they were so ready. Like they were so ready to be ours. Like I just love my kids so fucking much, and like I just believe that they were just ready. Like they were ready to be here with us. They're like, hey mom, hey dad, like no, you don't have to do it one more time. Like we are here for you. And it always just I think that the best parts of your life are the things that come easiest. If it's easy, right, other than going to McDonald's and stuff, like other than when it comes to diet, okay, but like when it's easy, I think that's when it's the most aligned.
Yeah, when you don't, it's not even that it has to be easy, it's just when you don't have to try.
Yeah, and you don't have to struggle.
Force.
You know, yes, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, when you're trying that one thing for so long and you're like, it's gotta work, and then you just accept like, hey, I'm just gonna it's not going to work. I'm going to try something new or whatever. Like, you have that, and then you have these things that just, it seems like it's almost meant to be, you know, like fate. So,
aligned, like,
yes,
just like divine alignment.
Yeah.
Yes.
And no, I really, wow. Yeah, I was going to, you know, make a terrible joke about the no plan B and you guys having two kids or whatever, but I didn't know the real origin, so I was like, wow, that's crazy. Yeah, and so you know how some people have, I feel like some people have kids because they don't really have a purpose, like in their, and which is like like I'm not here to like knock somebody for having a child, but like I think for you, like you're so kind of like like you guys are kind of challenge oriented, so it's also like, yeah, we're going to literally be working for ourselves, running 2 businesses, and then have a kid. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm so, you know, bored or whatever. I want to raise a child. I feel like I'm ready. You guys are like, we actually, on paper, this makes no sense at all. Like, this is like the worst decision. So that's why that's why people in your life
were like,
y'all,
what the fuck are you
like,
doing?
I know you guys are ambitious, but not this ambitious. Yeah.
They literally were like, not that they were counting on us to fail, because I think we overestimate, and I think we like, your family's your family. Yeah. Like, your blood's your blood. Okay?
They know.
You know, so like we knew that they were like, the studio's gonna fail, they're both gonna have to get jobs, like this is going downhill fast, like where are they gonna live? But the exact opposite happened. So I always like to say, like, you're literally always gonna have people that are gonna doubt you. And that's exactly what we did. We were like, I know that this doesn't make sense, but you have to believe us. Like, every single, like, you have to believe us, you have to believe in us. And some people will, and some people won't, and like, it's regardless, you know. But I think that's what we had to ask our families to do. Yeah,
because it's their kid too, you know. It's their grandkid or their I mean, exactly. And and the thing is though, it's like your families are gonna show up too, and they're gonna be once. Well, you have the child. There's nothing,
right? Like,
what are you gonna do with it?
Your SOL, my friend.
It's here. Like, can you guys?
Can you come over on Saturday? What's up?
When are you trying to watch this kid?
Yeah, right.
In terms of you and Tyler, because I just feel like this is really interesting. You guys do not have the same personality at all. And when I started working for Tyler, I realized I'm like, oh, he's like, it's like he's got a lot going on up here. Like, he's so intelligent, but he doesn't want to. He takes it in, you know, and you know him way better than I do. but you have this. You kind of have more this kind of outgoing and type A kind of personality, and I have it too. Something similar to that. But like, so do you feel like you guys yin and yang, and you guys kind of have this kind of, you know, kind of opposite personality types? Or
oh my god, absolutely. I would say in public we do, but in private, like, Tyler is a goofball. Like, he's amazing. Like, he's a great father, like, he's a great husband. But yeah, we definitely are 2 opposites, and I always bring back to a fight. Where is the scar? I don't know where the scar is, but we went and visited my best friend at the time at Moravian College, and we were at this like frat party. Like, this was back when I drank alcohol. I've actually been sober now for 5 years.
I had some times there for
sure.
Yeah,
at Moravian.
Some no plan B.
Some no plan B events. You're like,
didn't go that far. But
been there, done that. Okay.
I went to Moravian. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, been there.
Past life.
We went there for a frat party, and there was this guy that was like bumping against Tyler, and I didn't like it. Like, it was just rude. Like, he was just drunk, and so I said something to him, and I like, then he was being mean back to me, so I like poured my beer all over him and like threw it at him, and then he threw his beer can at me too and tried to get in a fight with me, even though he was on the football team. So technically I put to press charges, but like, I have a scar somewhere, so I feel like that really describes Tyler and I well. Like, but Tyler the whole time was like, what's going on? I was fine. I was fine. Why did you have to get involved? I was fine. I'm just like outgoing and rambunctious, and like, I always like would like to talk. Like, I'd love to talk. Like, could we just sit and talk for an hour? But then I also have times where like, I don't want to talk, and like, I'm not feeling well. So I feel like we balance each other out in that part, in those parts. Like, we are a true team, and it has taken time. Like, we're young and we've been together. Like, next year will be 10 years of us being together. So I'm married for 3 years. So it's, I know that we're very young. I know that the things we've done are not common for our age range, and he's just like literally the best. Like, he's my life partner. Like, I'm just convinced that we will be partners forever. Like, I think that it comes to a point in time where the romance isn't even a factor. like that is my partner. Like that is my ride or die. That is someone who will literally be with me until the day that I die. And I will do, and like I literally would do anything for him. And I have done like, you know what I mean? Like
yes, for each other. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, do you think that since you started a business together, that kind of chemistry, because I'm thinking, I'm like, if you guys met and you were individually doing the things that you're doing now, and then you met, I don't know if you would have had the kind of cohesion that you have in terms of, and I know it's ups and downs in business and in relationship, but I feel like it's what I'm getting at is it's very difficult to be in a relationship with the person you're also doing business with. And I know you're somewhat of kind of a higher level kind of consultant for his business, but you guys work together and you work in the same place, and then you live in the same place and sleep in the same place, and it's gotta be, I mean, I do it just by myself, all that, you know, it's like it's tough. It's gotta be like it's a different relationship when you have a relationship and then you can just go off on your own all day. Yeah. And then you don't have that. You're like, where are you going? All right, I'll work at home today. But
yeah. No, I know we don't really like, it's interesting because I don't think that I think if we met later in life, we both would have been too far in two different directions. Like I think we needed to meet when we met, and I know everything about his business and he knows everything about me. I can run his business for him. Like I can do everything for him because I built it. Like I built it, you know what I mean? So he got to live in his genius and just show up and engineer and record and do what he wanted to do, and I handled everything else, like bookings and finances and all the things. So I think it had to be that way in order for us to have like a great relationship. But I love the fact that we get to work out of the same building. Like I love the fact that like I have the upstairs and he has the downstairs, and we can go grab lunch together and we can go get coffee for each other. And like, I love that. I just think it's so special that like our kids can run around and can run across the both levels, and like we can both watch them if we need to out of the office. I just like, I have no complaints about it because we don't fight. Like we don't fight like that. So it's like interesting because I'm at like, we're both like not toxic in that way. Yes. Like we're both very self-aware. So we just like, business is business. And then when we get home, family is family, but we had to fight hard to have that balance. When finances are tough, business almost has to always be business. But now that things are much better, we don't have to worry anymore. Like, but I think things were the worst, or would be the worst, when we were worrying about other things. And that was what was affecting our relationship, right? Like worrying about money, like how are we going to pay rent this month? Yeah. How are we going to pay rent next month? Now we don't have to worry about any of those kind of things. So it's kind of just like, how are you doing? Like, what are you doing this week? Yeah. What am I doing this week? Like, let's make sure we grab lunch, or like, let's make sure we do this, or let's make sure we recap on that. And now he has like a team, which is so beautiful, a team that he built for himself and he picked himself. And I think that's like also what he needed. He needed his team. I have my team now. He has his. So we don't necessarily need to fight with each other over anything, you know? Like I don't own anything there. Yeah. Right? Like action wise, he has a team for that. He just comes to me when he knows he needs my insight and my expertise. I'll help him do anything, can make any connections. And like, that's just the way that it gets to stay. And to me, like, it's beautiful because we don't hold each other accountable for things that like we know we don't own. You know, I don't think a lot of relationships like do that. Like you're responsible for my emotions and you need to make me feel this way. Like we're both very self-aware. So it's like, hey, a client made me feel like this, so I feel like shit right now. But like this energy that I have is not about you. Like it's about something else that I'm carrying into this. So like, let's just like chill for a little bit. Or like, could we go get ice cream? Or like, can you get me a Coke from McDonald's? Because I just need a little something to kind of top me off right now.
Yeah, for real. No, you guys are perfect for this. This is like, you're living the life. I mean, you're really living the life, and you did it. You built it, which is amazing. And I want to go into the vault really bad, but I want to save it because I definitely have a lot of questions there. But in terms of, you kind of mentioned this a little bit, and this is important to me. So when you were kind of explaining your childhood, right, and you didn't have a lot of praise for, you know, these things that you accomplished. Now, you're at the point in your life where you can, you know, take a day off. It's not going to kill your business, and you can kind of have a little bit more freedom. Do you find yourself trying to reward yourself? Like you said that it was tough for you to kind of reward yourself because you always had to do the next thing, right? So have you found ways to now kind of like reward yourself and unwind and relax and things like that? And if so, like, what do you do to do that,
Yeah. You know what? It was hard for a really long time because and it's still a weird thing for me. Like, I have to be really honest. Like, people will tell me all the time, like, all the time. My DMs are blown up consistently. Like, I have a lot of DMs. I have a lot of people that, like, look up to me. And it's really, like, that's really weird for me. Like, Gabby, you inspire me. Like, you're such an inspiration. Like, all these things that they say to me. And to me, I'm like, I'm just normal. Like, I'm just a normal person. Like, I'm really nothing special. Like, I'm just normal. But I think it took me so long to realize that I need to start treating myself like that. And I think that people are mirrors of us. And when I realized that when I was unhappy with the way that people were treating me, it's normally because I was unhappy with me. Like, I was unhappy with something in my life. So when I was about to give birth to Eli in November of 2020, I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a few months off. So, like, literally for the first year of my business, like the first year of my business, I maybe made like $4,000. Okay. Like, maybe. And the second year, cause now I'm going into my third calendar year, technically, the second year I think was maybe like 30 or 40 or something. And now this year I like don't track the numbers as well as I should, but like it's exploded. But the thing is that Tyler and I both work part-time. So like I work like 30 hours a month, maybe 40 hours a month. But before I would be working every single day. And it's kind of like the conversation that we had earlier where I was working every single day and it wasn't working. So I had Eli, I took a few months off. And when I came back in January and February, I was ready. Like, I was ready to just go back to what worked. I was ready to take time off for myself. So now I maybe work 2 full days a week. I don't need to work anything else. I literally don't, because in those 2 days, I'm able to be so effective and so efficient, and I have everything streamlined. That's all I need.
Bring me through a day.
A typical day for me?
Yeah, one of those work days.
Okay, so I wake up around 6 and I head to the gym.
This is a work day.
Yes, this is a work day.
Do you wake up later on a different day?
I never wake up past 7. Okay. Like, I always wake up at like 5:36. So I wake up, I head to the gym, I do a workout by Spin and Tonic, my girl based out of Philly. She is amazing.
Ooh, good name too, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. Her name's Tanya, Spin and Tonic. Like, she's awesome. You have to follow her.
I already know the brand by just the name.
Yes.
No.
So I do one of her workouts, and then depending on how the day is structured, like today I had to go home, get the kids ready, and I dropped the kids off at my in-laws. But yesterday, when I was done with my workout, I brought my laptop with me, and where we live, there's a co-working center, so I just walked right in the co-working center and got right to work. I normally like to get like 2 solid hours of work done, like client work, like network work, like work.
And what
I'm
are you
not
doing?
talking networking.
Are you tracking? Are you documenting? Like, what does that look like? And you're a business consultant, you would consider yourself, if you want to use titles.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the reason why I'm able to work a 30-hour work week is because I have high-level fractional COO clients that I serve. So those 30 hours are literally like just their time that I like. Normally they each have like 10 to 12 hours a month. So like maybe it'll range from like 30 to 40 or 50 at most hours a month that I'm going to be working. But I realize like that's all that I need. Like, that's all that I need. Yeah. We're good financially, and I can't, like, there are seasons in life, right? Yeah. Like, and there are seasons in businesses.
You're in your 20s still.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I can relax, I can chill because I'm killing it. So I'll, depending on, like, drop the kids off or head straight into work, and then I normally only work till like 2 or 3, then I'm home with the kids. Mm-hmm. But my average day is probably going to consist of like at least 3 client meetings, like at least 1 networking call or connecting call. And the rest is just like client work.
And how many clients do you have? Can you say that?
Well, I have 3 fractional COO clients that I work with.
Okay. And that COO is Chief Operating Officer.
Yeah, so they're founder, owner, operators.
Fractional means basically, so this company, this is a business, and then they don't have this role. They don't have a Chief Operating Officer. So what they'll do is they'll hire a chief a fractional, meaning essentially like kind of freelance, but freelance isn't the perfect word for it. But essentially somebody where, okay, we don't have to pay this person a full salary, and we don't have enough work for them to work 40 hours anyway. Mm-hmm. So we'll just hire you, and you can kind of take on that role, and then that's where you get your flexibility from. They're happy because they don't have to hire for this entire role.
Yes. Like, and if I'm set up for success, when I dedicate my 2 to 3 hours a week for them, I'm executing high level.
Yep.
Like we are high level. It is go, go, go for those 2 hours. We get so much done.
Are you with a CEO or who's in these meetings with? Like, who are you as a fractional COO? Like, who
with
else
the
is
owner.
in there? Okay, with the owner. Is there a CF? Is there financial people in there, or is this basically you and the owner?
No, there's now at this point now they usually have a team.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like coaching them on what to do.
Yeah.
Or,
well,
okay.
it's like a unique. Because at that level, they still do need coaching. They need mentoring, but they also need consulting. So I kind of...
So that's why the words coaching or consulting...
It's so interchangeable.
Yeah.
Because everyone needs everything at all times.
Was that a strategic decision to make it consulting, though? Or did you...
It's the conversations I love to have. Yeah. Like, I love coaching you. Mm-hmm. But if you're not going to execute, I don't want to coach you.
Yeah.
So when I move into consulting, I now own that project. So actually, I have more ownership over if it's executed or not and bringing on my team to help it be executed. So that's the big disconnect to me. Like I tie a lot of my worth to the impact that I make. When I was coaching, it was minimal impact. Like I literally was like, okay, I'm going to give you all this information. I'm giving you all my time and I'm making a lot of money, but you're not going to go and do it because like of X, Y, or Z, right? I hated it. Like, I hated the fact that, like, I was going to spend my time with you, and I wasn't even going to know if this business was going to make it to next year. But I love having ownership. I'm the kind of person, like, I can fucking carry my own, right? Like, I will go in, and I will disrupt. Like, I will disrupt. We will build anything. So when I found more high-level women that didn't have that right-hand person, I saw how much their business started to fail because they didn't have someone high level next to them. So I sit next to you, like I'm in here connecting you. I'm in here bringing you thousands of dollars, like to tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like I want my impact to be big.
Do you have an hourly price?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you say what it is? You don't have to. It's just me curious.
No, well, it's not that much.
Disclose or not disclose? No, don't worry about it. It's a personal question, not a podcast
I can
question.
definitely tell you once we're done recording.
Totally. Yeah. Sounds good. That's why I always caveat. But yeah, I mean, wow, this is what I do too. So I'm like literally like my brain is like really there's things happening right now where I'm like, oh shit, what if I just differentiated coaching? Because I'm right now in my mind I'm trying to figure out what the coaching was that I do and then the difference between the coaching and the consulting. And now it's very obvious. Like I have one service that's coaching and I have another one that's consulting, and it's literally just either the consulting, my team comes in, and the coaching, we sit on there for 5 hours, and what you do after that 5 hours is all up to you.
Yes.
So that's the difference. Holy shit. That's really good.
And
thanks,
like
Gabby.
it changes the price point too, because now
Are we going to charge each other for this? Or
I mean, hey, I'm not invoice you later,
I'll
right?
Send you
like
100, you send me 100.
Yeah,
right?
we'll be clear. But it came to the
out.
point, like, I have been attending some high-level events with women that I walk into and, like, millionaires and, like, husbands that are billionaires. And I walk in and I'm like, no, next step is me charging $500 an hour. Like, next step is me charging $1,000 an hour. Because I'm the one that decides. But, like, when I tell you that if I go back to the companies that I work with, and if I ask them for hard numbers, I make them that back. Like I make them every single dollar.
They would not hire you if you didn't too. That's the thing.
So like, but I'm the one that's determining what I'm charging.
Yep.
So if I am not making enough, it is my own fault. Which is why I love entrepreneurship,
Always.
But I hate it too, right?
It sucks because, so do you have a coach?
I am not I like to say that like I'm the kind of person who works best with a mentor. So I have a mentor. Yep. I have multiple mentors that sit in different. I believe that you need a mentor for every area of expertise that you aim to really excel in. Yep. Now the thing is, whether these people truly know and understand my mentors is on them. But I know they're my mentors. Mm-hmm. Like, and I think there's
directly
people on like
indirectly.
Yes, exactly. Still, whether they're doing this for the title,
the thinking Napoleon Hill's a mentor. I mean, you can. It depends how far you want to stretch the definition.
Jack Canfield to me was a mentor for years when I was struggling with postpartum depression and like couldn't leave my house. Yep. Like I have a lot of mentors. I like to say that like I work well with someone that wants to look at us as a team, and I found that a lot of coaches for women really didn't want to look at it as a team. Like they were like, "I'm here, love." and you're there and check yourself.
Oh, God.
Whereas a mentor is going to listen to you, right? Like they're going to be like, okay, based on X, Y, and Z, and I know you did X, Y, and Z, this is where we're going to bring you next. Or like, this is like, oh no, Gab, I know you and you wouldn't want to do that. But like, I needed someone that was going to work.
A mentor is as much a friend.
Yes.
Really. And it's basically a mentor is just having a super real friend who has just done what you want to do, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, whereas like you said, these women, and I see them all the time. I edit a lot. We've edited a lot of podcasts. They're on these, like, it's just amazing how much ego some of these people have, and I'm like, and it's obviously men have a ton of ego too, but it's like, this is my program. This is when it's $4 billion. Like, I'm like, who are you? You wrote one book? I'm like, you didn't even, so it's, I see it every fucking day.
Please. Like the ego, because to me, like, and I know that sounds really weird, like, I am nothing. Like, I am everything, but I am nothing. I am not tied to the amount of money you pay me. And like, don't get it fucking twisted. I don't care how much money.
And it's always going to be more value than what they're paying anyway.
Oh my gosh.
You wouldn't have a business. None of us would have a business if we didn't.
If we weren't always increasing
if we didn't
our
have
value.
like, wow, the communication is so good, or whatever those things are. Like, because you have to. But I actually was going to toss this in there, which is, there's only two ways to make more money. Sell more units, raise your prices. Those are the options that you have. So as a consultant or a coach or whatever, it's like, I go through the same thing. I might want to help somebody and they're like, I don't have 1,000. For 100, I just want to do it for 100 and help them, because that's just the type of person that I'll do it for free, really. I'm literally charging because I need to make money.
Yeah.
It's like, I did it all for free first. So it's tough when you're in that position and you're like, you don't want to be one of these ego people who's charging $1 million, and then it's like, but you want your price to match what you're doing, and then so you're naturally going to always undercharge, because that's just the rule. You know who's overcharging. They have no clients. They have to make a fictional story and shit up, and it's like it's all a charade. They're trying to make a buck.
Oh my gosh. And it's this unique place that I've started to find, because the one thing that I love to do is I'm always doing market research. I'm always asking questions. I'm always going into new communities. I'm always watching people. And we all have to get to a point where we don't even care how much we charge. Like, because I keep hearing these stories, and I would do it too. I would do it for free, and I would do it, and I'm like, but this billionaire guy, he's going to say his price and no one's going to question him. So I need to get the confidence to be able to say my price so that no one questions me. And that's where I've just come to the conclusion. I deserve money. It's not bad to have money. And I deserve to drop off a Ferrari at my dad's house. And I deserve to have my own TV show. And I deserve to have this. And I deserve to have that. No one, like, why am I telling myself that I'm not worth it? Because if I'm not going to charge you my real price, I am letting you know that I am not worthy of that price. Like, I'm not worthy of the life that I want to have. So in reality, I'm acting in direct opposition to my goals and my dreams.
To what you would tell other people.
Yes. So that's kind of the mindset where I've come to. I'm going to tell you my price because it's based off my worth. And if you don't agree with that vision, then here's some other things that I have and some other resources that you can do. But like, my new opinion of myself is like, if you're not already right off the back of the hand ready to invest $5,000, we probably aren't a fit. Like, we probably aren't a fit, because if you pay for me, I'm going to show you things in your business where you could exceed sales, but we need to bring on help. So if you're not ready for $5,000, we can't chat. Like, we really can't. Like, you should just join one of my networking calls and we can chat there. Yep. Because that's what I'm going to do. You're going to spend $5,000, I'm going to give it to you right back.
And anybody who's on the fence about it, it's like, you shouldn't do it anyway.
If I have to over-explain, I'm not...
If you have to explain really anything. Like, I've been learning all this sales shit now, which is like, you think your process is so dope, nobody gives a fuck about your process, they don't care. It's all about results. And also, the people who can afford the $1,000 an hour, or like you're saying, the $5,000 up front or whatever it is, those are the people you want to work with. The people who, no questions asked, will purchase that because they've done that 20 times and it's worked most of the time and not worked sometimes, but they know that they have to put the money down to see the results. Like, my best clients have the most money. They don't pay. They are not my highest paying client. They just, the clients that are the best to work with have the highest net worth. So, and they just have a level of understanding where if something goes wrong, they don't freak out. The people who are paying the least amount of money are the ones that freak out because that's all they have. these people, oh yeah, all right, cool, man, thanks for letting me know. Like it's the best experience with these people. So you naturally want to attract the people. You do want to attract the $1,000 an hour, no question. That's who you want, because those people are going to value it and then also not fuck with you and try to get in your way.
Like, they have goals they want to reach. I have goals I want to reach, and we're going to help each other.
Yes. You would pay them $5,000 for the thing that you need or whatever. Yes.
Yes. Like, if you really know that this person is going to help you, then you're going to invest in it. And I just think I'm done. Like, I'm literally done with you if you're on the fence. I'm not interested. If you don't have the funding, that's not my problem. Yep. But for a long time, I thought it was my problem.
Yeah.
And I thought it was my responsibility to help you make money.
Or you thought that it wasn't that wasn't the problem, that you didn't convince them enough or something.
Yes.
And that's the thing now where I go like, you know, or somebody explained to me the other day, they're like, this is why I didn't buy your $1,000 thing. And I'm like, that's the best advice that I possibly can get. Like, it's like, and whether the answer is so simple of you didn't have the money, or because it was another answer that, because people won't even tell you, you won't know, you'll think it's about the money, and at the end of the day, this is what I started doing too, which you probably do this, it's like everybody has $5,000. It's like most people have $5,000, not everybody, but the people we're talking to, everybody has it way more. Or
it's never about the money.
It's never about the
money.
Like, if we're on this call, it's not about the money.
No.
Yeah. So then
you didn't express the value. Like,
exactly.
they couldn't make sense of how it could work for them and how it could exactly. So like, we're focusing, like me, like you and I hypothetically we're sitting around, oh man, like hitting ourselves over the head about our hourly price. Yeah. But in reality, they just want to understand like the results they're gonna get, or like they just want to understand why we're different than X, Y, and Z. And like on our sales calls or on our calls, we're not even pointing out those things.
Yes. Yeah.
You know?
And no, not effectively. And I've read so many. I've literally spent the last 6 months, because we just ran off like hype and LinkedIn referrals, and LinkedIn still does great for. It's just crazy how good it works sometimes. But we just ran off this kind of like the next client just came, and then we had a lull, and I said, and I didn't realize till we were way too deep in it. And I'm like, all right, I'm taking some L's here, because I just was kind of I was checked out. I was just trying to day to day. And then I literally realized like, oh shit, there's a gap. Like, I don't have this skill. Like, I don't have this kind of like, I have the kind of natural proclivity to be good at sales, but I didn't have the actual knowledge or skills. Like, there was a gap. Yeah. So then I was like, oh wait, I have to just prioritize this and create a system and do what business people do, and that was the whole mindset. So I've sold on 5 out of my last 8 calls. Yeah, it just happened, and now this is like, it's the ups and downs and flows, but like I just feel so much more confident now that I've just like kind of put that work in, because before people, it was like, I don't know how I sold. People were just like, okay, let's do it then. Like, I wouldn't. They got nothing from me. Yeah. Like, they sold it themselves.
Yeah, like they put the honey down, they put the trap down, like they were the ones who did
They
it.
were like, hey, I want to buy this, or whatever, but they didn't want to say it. And now it's at that point where I'm like, where I can identify the need, the value. Like, I know how to do it a little bit better. I'm still getting better. I'm very early in this, but like, is that I used to really think that mindset doesn't play that big of a role, but now I'm like, man, you can have like, if your character trait doesn't match your skills, or if your skills don't match your character traits, or if your mindset doesn't match your it's like, if you don't really have the trifecta, like, it's gonna become exposed. There will be a big gap, even if you're so great, and then that's what happened to me. I'm like, I'm this guy, I'm the podcast guy, whatever, what's happening, and I just have to take the L, take that ego out, and just freaking go back to drawing board and learn like I was, freaking 12 years old again.
Yes, we can't escape that. Like, even if you're super successful, you're never going to escape having to go back to the drawing board. No. Like, I think it's just a sign of life. And I think it's also a sign of success. Yeah. You tried a strategy, you executed, and you did it so well that now you have to adapt. Yeah. You've owned some of that market now. Let's move into the new market now. You know what I mean? Like, let's learn how we're going to get the new clients that are at the new rate, right? Like, each new rate is going to need a new strategy. Yeah. You can't use the same strategy for your $200 clients as your $20,000 clients. No. Hell no. One comes from one side of the earth and the other comes from another. Yeah. It's 2 different networks. And I have clients that'll ask me that. Like, I love mentoring. So like a lot of my clients are like, well, Gabby, how do I find clients that are going to pay me over like even $1,000 a month or over even $800 a month recurring? You know, like how can I make $30K a year off one client? And I'm like, you need to go to their watering hole.
Yes.
Where are they hanging out? Who are they hanging out with? But the issue is for a lot of people is you need to be authentic about it. A lot of people are going to watering holes and like they're not, like, you know, like a tourist in like downtown Beijing where like they have like they have like they're out there, it's Where's Waldo, but it's the opposite because you can see them, they stick out like a sore thumb. And I think that that's a lot of people in situations and communities where they're just there for the money, and I can smell you from like 20 miles away. If you want to get high paying clients, go to where they are, but actually try to fit in. Actually try to like be a contributor and actually try to like give. And then, right, like it goes back to the Gary Vee, like left hook, uppercut, or whatever it is. Like, yes. Right, left hook, left hook, jab. Right, yes. Yeah. So but it's the truth. Like I swear, like Gary Vee is literally the truth. Mm-hmm. But so many people sleep on him or try to make fun of him. Like literally go listen to him. Like literally freaking go listen to him.
No, actually though, this is the thing. He still dropped bombs, but he would just drop bombs, like shit that you could use, you know, and he still does it, but like that's what I remember. Like I remember watching Daily V and going like, holy shit, if I had a business right now, I'd be killing, because I would just take this advice, and I didn't back then. But I didn't.
It still holds true though if you still try to do it.
Yes, yeah,
it'll work.
It's still, all that shit is
it's crazy.
So true. And I had to meet him. I met him. Yay. Asked him a question that was nothing about business. Yeah. I literally just kind of like, and it was a lot of different turns in my life that happened. I actually talked to a life coach for 1 hour, and that changed the game for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but the company I was working for paid for me to talk to that life coach, and then that life coach essentially convinced me to quit that company. Yeah.
Is that the company that I know of?
I don't know if you know.
With the founder that I know of?
I don't think so.
That I know of?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Yeah, no,
okay.
This one was really bad. I don't think I don't think so, because I'm trying to think of the one that you're thinking about, but yeah, you wouldn't know this person. There's no way. Oh, no. That was good.
That was good. Okay.
Yeah, he was solid. You know, he's got his stuff, but no, that was way better. This guy, man, I'll tell you about this guy for a second. I mean, if you want to talk everything that we just talked about, extreme ego, all lifestyle, I want to be next to a pool. I'm like, dude, my laptop doesn't even last that long. But like, you know,
the way my battery's set up, like, come on, bro.
Like, how do you even? That's just to take the picture. Nobody's doing that.
Yeah.
And then, but like, it was all stroke of the ego. I don't know what your parents are paying for and helping you with it and not. You have an apartment that's X amount of thousands a month, but we're not making any money. So where's the money coming from? So it was all this shit, and could have been great. It could have been great if the leadership was good. Mm-hmm. But, you know, cocaine problem. I mean, like, it was everything you can think of. I mean, he was snorting shit, and I don't think it was flour. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Under the desk, like, he didn't even give me any. I was like, come on, bro. At least,
you're like, come on. Sharing is caring? No?
No, but not like I would have freaking done. It's like, I wouldn't, but it's just the whole entire
You're like, Mom,
thing.
not like I would have done it, Mom, but.
I wouldn't have done any. I don't do any. Everybody knows I'm straight edge.
Yes.
I look it, I live it, I feel it.
It's in my veins.
It's in my veins.
I can't escape that. Natural.
People used to come on the podcast and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna go outside." I'm like, "Y'all get smoking here." You know,
yeah,
it's like I might look a certain way, but but yeah. So it was like the perfect storm of like, this business is gonna fail.
Yes.
You know, and so what happened was I was working in Manhattan, and that's where we had like a little office space and a co-working space there.
Okay.
And
first red flag.
Of the office is 5x8. Office is
but he's sitting by a pool in Abu Dhabi every weekend. Yeah, like same like photoshopped image.
Going to a bar that has a rooftop just to sit at the pool to take the picture type of thing. And I'm like, dude, you're not even working. Like I'm on Slack with you right now. And so, like, dude, what?
Like just a little petty things.
So,
you know what I mean? Like,
okay, let me say this. This guy wanted to create a business that, maybe not a business, but like a brand about basically how to like get girls on Tinder. Like, that was the level that this person was at. And so, and like, I'm telling you, let me tell you what he would do. He would set up the date and stand on the other side of the street. So when he would see the girl in person, he would make the determination of if he was going to even go on this date or not. Like, that's the level of, like, this guy was mentally ill. Like,
yeah.
he was, like, extreme, like, any forms of narcissism that can be classified, you know what I'm saying? And so, like, this was my first time in like, corporations, like, in any white-collar job at all. This was my first one. Working for, you know, cocaine Bender over here.
Yes.
And yeah, man, you know, so I worked in the city of Manhattan. I only did it for like 30 days. I was on winter break from school, and he wanted me to come in because he always wanted me to come in. Anytime I could come in, you know, because it looks better to have another person there. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
And so I would go in, and I'm talking on the bus by 6. I had to get up at 4, on the bus by 6, work the whole day. Bro, you can't stay until 8. I'm like, I live 4 light years away, you know? And it would be, so I'm talking over 4-hour commute, like 5-hour commute. And from the car to the bus to walking 30 minutes, like not even, I wasn't even taking Ubers. And it was not good, like this whole entire thing. And I got burnt out, and this was my first time doing anything like this. It was the type of thing where in the beginning I realized I thought it was such a crazy opportunity. So then I was like, had blind faith. But then I realized all the flaws of the person, and I realized I'm actually probably better than this person. So I had the realization, and then they said, hey, you missed, I slept in that one morning. They're like, you missed these emails, like, you got to get your life together or something.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
So I was like, okay, this is weird. Like, I'm getting yelled at because for missing 2 emails or something. And so he hooks me up with this guy named Tim, and I get on a call with him for an hour, and he's like, yeah, man, this music stuff and podcast seems promising. He said, you should probably do that. Like, he didn't say quit your job. He just said, why aren't you pursuing this? You're like 20. And I'm like, good point. So then I talked. So I met Gary Vee months before that. Then I talked to this guy. Then I left the job February 2020, started my business March 2020. And I've been doing that ever since. But it all started with this terrible, good thing I worked for this complete terrible company. And I think he's a good person at heart. I think he's got a good heart. Really do. Okay. I think he was just
I'm taking your word for it.
Yeah, like, I don't think he was evil. Like, I think that he was very misguided, and like and definitely like there's very, very bad like
mental illness,
emotional problems, and like probably childhood stuff that happened.
I've met
like
people like that.
Yeah, like
I worked for people like that.
Like, I would say I think he could turn around. Like, I have faith in that. But yeah, so that was, I don't know how I got there, but that is like basically was my start in like essentially business. You know?
My gosh!
I was a mechanic for 4
course.
years. Like, you know, that's what I did. Yeah. And I'm like, let me edit this guy's podcast. And 2.5 years later, I'm in Manhattan under the desk. He's snorting stuff, and it was crazy. It was fucking crazy, man. But sometimes
that one
that's how
goes
you
in
start.
the book.
But I knew it was so much better than if I worked for a successful company.
Yeah.
So much better that I worked for that company.
Yeah.
Because I just learned more. I just learned like so many things to look out for, and I've gotten 3 to 5 opportunities from people I've talked to at that company who don't talk to this guy at all, but they come to me and they're like, hey, you remember me? Like, here's somebody who wants to start a podcast. Like, it all came back. You know, because I was real. I was cool.
Yes.
I was fine.
The karma showed up in your favor.
Karma showed up.
Because you did the best that you could.
I was the intro sales guy. And they would talk to me, and then they would go to him, and he's like, why am I not closing? I'm like, dude, you're a freaking psychopath. Like, I could close them. I just don't know how to close.
Yeah.
I'm getting them on the intro call because I know how to get people fired up. So that's easy for me. This is the perfect job. We're not closing because you're literally not a person. You know. So then the company was gone, and it was a whole lot.
There went the co-working space in Manhattan down the drain.
Yeah, they asked for me to come back like 3 months later too. Oh, we turned things around. It's all good now. I'm like, I'm good, bro. Yeah. I was making $200 a month, and I said, I'm good.
That's the best kind of I'm good.
You know the deal, bro.
Oh, heck yes.
You know the deal.
No, I'm all right. Thank you.
Yeah. You know the deal, too, when you're like, I need it, but I don't need it like this.
Yeah, I could use it, but it's gonna suck the life out of me.
Like you mentioned in the beginning of people being like, oh, you know, it's probably going to fail, or you're going to have to get a job. Like, I bet COVID was probably a moment, too, when, I mean, even you guys personally, but like when you're like, wow, I have an in-person business. Maybe yours isn't as much, but that must have been, and it was for all businesses. I started mine, like I designed mine like that, so it wasn't like that for me.
Yes.
Because I did it the month COVID started is when I started.
Yeah.
But for you guys, what did you do? Like, did you sit down, you and Tyler, and like, all right, we got to like figure out something? Like, you guys had to shut the studio down, right?
Yeah, for 3 months. Well, the thing that happened was I actually started my business in March of 2022, the exact weekend that COVID shut down too. That's when I started.
Respect.
So we
Let's
probably
go.
have the same anniversaries,
Yeah.
anniversaries. But Tyler had gotten, assaulted at our studio in January. So he took like 3 weeks off in January. We went on a trip to Disney with our daughter, and we planned getting pregnant. So we started trying to conceive in February, and then we got back from Florida, and in March, really things started to go downhill. I was already prepared to leave. I was actually at a part-time job in an accounting firm that I had already put my 2 weeks in. So I was ready to leave. Things of this coronavirus and all of this stuff started coming about. We got the positive pregnancy test. We knew that we were going to expecting another. And then the whole entire state shut down like 2 weekends later or a weekend later. And so it was really hard. Luckily enough, we still had enough in savings. Like, we didn't apply for the first PPP loan, which we definitely could have gotten free money from if we did. But there was so many unknowns at that time that we didn't want to be like held liable for a loan if we didn't know that it was going to be forgiven or not. So we didn't go for the first round, and we just used our savings, and like, we didn't get anything waived. You know what I mean? We still had to pay our personal rent and our studio rent, and we just kept things going, like selling beats, Tyler doing mix and masters, like me going in and starting coaching clients. And we were lucky enough to have a in-person space that we could go to, and we just worked out of our offices and kind of took turns staying home with our daughter. So I built my business to be online at first, and now I'm pivoting it to be across both, to be in person and online. But Tyler's, of course, has always been tried and true online until his lo-fi came in the mix, and that was something that's truly virtual, only virtual. That's, it only takes up a little bit of his time. So he built out his entire lo-fi career during COVID, and then it's kind of just exploded from there. So it was hard for a while, like definitely as COVID was ending. Not ending, but as we were able, like as restrictions were starting to lift, and it looked like maybe we'd be able to open in July, I believe. The middle of July maybe is when we were able to open. Tyler was finally taking unemployment. He didn't take unemployment for a while. We could have been really reaping a lot, but we decided to be the kind of people to wait until we truly needed it to access it. And then we applied for the second round of PPP loans, which was then forgiven, applied for another grant, which we were able to get. Like, none of it was big bucks, like a few $1,000s here, a few $1,000s there, but it was enough to kind of keep us going. So luckily enough, like, we actually really enjoyed that time, which sounds weird.
No, good. I enjoyed it too. I was living life.
It was like I was reading literally 2 books a day.
Me too.
Like,
Think
we
and
were
Grow
just
Rich.
like,
That's when I read.
Yes, that's when you had like.
Oh, my mind was expanding heavily during this time. Yeah.
It was awesome.
It was
like,
great.
I really think back to it, and I'm like, that was kind of great.
I don't even caveat it anymore. I just say it's great. Like, I used to be like, I know so many people had a tough time. It's like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't discount your experience. It's just like, this
I
is my
thrived.
experience.
Yes.
Yeah. All I can do is talk about my experience. Anyway.
Exactly. And like, given, of course, we were lucky enough to not be working. Like, my dad was working that entire time. Like, my dad works as a mechanic in a warehouse in manufacturing plants. So like, he literally had to go to work every single day.
Yeah.
It didn't stop for him. So it's just so weird to me. Like, so that's why I was so happy. Like, we were just home with our daughter and just loving life and going to the park and like going for walks, and like no one was out anywhere. Like, it was just so interesting.
Yeah, it was definitely. And
ghost town everywhere.
I think I was working for you guys in 2019 is when I was coming to the stew every day, man. That was amazing too. Like, we were talking, like, so many connections. If I could give any advice, it's definitely work at a music studio.
Yes.
And just do what I did, is basically fly in the wall and then just ask questions. Like,
yes.
I'll just come in, there's nothing of like no paperwork, just like, hey, show up. And I just like received knowledge, you know. I would ask Tyler like the same question like 4 times, and he'd never get mad. It's amazing.
That's Tyler for you.
Yeah.
Like, finding and that's the biggest hack to building a successful business and building a successful anything is like, find fountains, like find, fountains of knowledge that you can go to and like you can sip from when you need it. And that's like, find them because
but you
they're
gotta
there.
go, like what you were saying, like you gotta go do it. Like I would ask him and be like, all right, if you were to edit this podcast, what would you do? And he's like, well, I'd probably do this, and I'd probably put it in a master or whatever. And then I would just go and do it. And then, like, but all of it would have been worthless if I never did anything. If I actually, and that's where I think also a lot of people get caught up, because we are in such an age of, there's so much information.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really good information on things you don't need to know. So people get caught up in receiving the information because it's great, but they don't need it in the moment. So general information is like the worst, or non-specific information that's not specific to the problem that you're trying to solve in the moment is useless to you. You know?
Absolutely.
Because there's no point in worrying about a problem that you don't have yet.
Absolutely.
So I think that's where, like, I will credit myself in, like, I had a mentor for music production. He said, go get Logic Pro and make music. And I said, 10-4, came back the next year with an album. Then a year after that, met Tyler, you know, whatever, you guys put out an Instagram story. I'm like, I'm there. I don't care how far I have to drive or whatever. And then, all right, I'm going to edit podcasts. So I'll ask him a little bit about music, but I'm going to ask him about podcasts. And then, okay, cool. Then go apply it. Like, I'm not working at a, you know, convenience store, but I want to be an engineer. I'm going to go find an engineer, you know? So, but that's just, I don't know.
Yes.
I hate wasting my time. Like, I don't want to think, I cannot do something where it's not contributing.
Oh, you and me are like two peas in a pod then when it comes to that. Because, like, if I'm literally, my body will, like, react against me. Like, I immediately know when I'm doing something I should not be doing anymore. And, like, I immediately know when a client and I are not a fit anymore. When I start to have that feeling, like, ooh, my time's not being, like, they don't need this. They don't need this. My time's not being used properly. Like, I need to go and find someone that's going to use it properly.
Have you fired any clients? Or like
I always do. It's a rolling basis.
Yeah.
Because not everyone is really who they make themselves out to be. And when you get as deep as I get into business with people, you find out their true colors. And I am so, like, morally driven and, like, mission driven and value driven. If we're not aligned, I don't even care how much you're going to pay me. Like, I really can do without. Like, I can always do without. Like, that is, like, I refuse to take money just to take money. I just think people, it like does it even worse. It's almost like you're their fucking pet pig or something. Like, people get really nasty when they have money and they pay you for it and they feel like they own you. Like, as soon as you feel like you own me, I'm out. Like, I'm literally out.
And they'll be nasty when you tell them that you can't do it anymore. They'll start to think that you're supposed to.
Yeah.
Something.
Well, I gave you all that money. What did you do with it? I told you, I logged all my hours. You know every single thing that I did with the money that you gave me. Yep. I put in work.
Or you did this for me in the past. You have to now, you did this for me in the past, but now I'm a dick and you don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
But still do it. And I'm like, no, dude, like that. And that happened to me too, where this guy, like, he was so caught up about how we weren't doing it how we wanted it, and then didn't show us how to do it how we wanted it. So then I just said, we don't have a contract, goodbye. And then he was so mad because he probably realized the amount of work he would have to put in to replace us. And I'm like, yeah, bro, this is how it goes. And I know my prices. I'm like, you're never getting somebody this good for this price. Never again in your life.
Yes.
You never will.
Yes.
So I know when you know what you have, it's amazing, you know?
And that's what I had to realize. I had to have a lot of conversations with other consultants and other coaches and other mentors to realize the trifecta of what I have, the knowledge that I have, who I am as a person, my personality, like, has all kind of built together to be this, like it's amazing. Like, it's a package. Like, I deliver a package regardless the resources that I have and the network that I have. Like, that's just cherries on top of the whipped cream and sprinkles. Like, I'm the full package. If you refuse to see that, I'm not going to sit here trying to spoon feed you it. Like, you need to work with me. We're not going to work against each other. So I've definitely had to fire clients when I realized that normally it's when it's an extreme amount of codependency. Right? Like, oh, but I need you. Like, what am I going to do without you? That's my first red flag. There's a, what would I do without you? Right? Like, oh man, you're so resourceful. You're so amazing. You always show up. Then there's a, like, what will I do without you? Like, I literally don't know what I'll do. And that's when I'm like, I can't be your mom. I can't be your dad. I can't wait. Like, right? Like, I truly believe this is when it's like the psychology of things comes into it. I'm not here to be your therapist. Like, I'm not here to, like, wipe your face after you've spit up. You have to be able to pick yourself up, just like I have to be able to pick myself up. this isn't going to work out unless you can do it. Like, you need to fucking change your own diapers. Like, you need to have self-autonomy. Like, you need to be able to get shit done. Like, if I feel weirded out, like, you can't hold your own, that's not not attractive to me. But you know what I mean? Like, I'm not attracted to that kind of energy. Yep. You know, like, no losers.
Shit. Yeah, no losers. Yep.
We need to be winners. We need to be a circle of winners.
Yeah.
Right? We're only as, like, what's the terminology of, like, we're only as good as our best player, or what is
worst,
it?
I think.
Like, we're only as good as the worst person on your team, or whatever that but it's the absolute truth. Like, if how bad is the worst person on our team? Yep. You know what I mean? Like, if we're super,
if one person isn't meeting the standard, then that's nobody might as well be meeting it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think about this now that I have contractors and people that I manage, and I'm actually also training my partner to manage them after I manage them, and it's like I always think about it from when, and I don't really do this as much anymore, but when I was that editor working for somebody, you know, and I'm like, shit, like, am I the guy who's now like this guy, you know? And you know, most of the time you're good, but sometimes you got to check yourself, and you realize, or at least in my scenario, I'm like, oh, I can't be like, I definitely have bad habits. I probably don't even know them. Maybe I want them to communicate, but I don't communicate as fast as I want them to, right? Things like that, where you make the excuses for yourself because you're like, well, I'm the boss or whatever.
Yes.
It's like, oh, no. This isn't what you say. This is what you do. They just follow what you do. So if this is acceptable, that's why this actually just happened. We have a production like chat on Slack. That's all for our podcast production. And I was editing 2 episodes, and just because something happened with our other editor or something like that, logistical, and we require them to send a message on what they're working on, when they're working on it, and when it's going to turn around. Like, simple, like, hey, I just got the files. Like, I'll have it by Tuesday or whatever. All right, cool. Just the check-in. And I realized, oh, shit, I didn't do the check-in. So then I did the check. You know, like, just I have to follow my own rules.
Oh, my gosh.
You know?
Please shout that louder, because I think that there becomes a level that owners, right, founders, literally think that the rules don't apply to them anymore. And they're out here ragging on the people they hire. They're out here ragging on X, Y, and Z, ragging on clients. Meanwhile, they're not doing that work for themselves. And to me, like, that's so hypocritical. And as soon as that starts to come into play, like, that's when I start to see, like, if he or she or they or them, or, you know, whatever they whatever pronouns they use, yes, like, if they're not following the rules that they're setting for others, like, what are we doing around here? Like, respectfully, what am I doing in this room? I don't think there's a seat for me at the table. You know? And, like, I don't love do-it-alls. I don't want you to do it all. If you hired me to do something, let me do it.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's control. That's a control thing. And I have it. Like, I have it, and I'm like, yeah, delegation has been the biggest shock to me, to my kind of natural functioning, because it's like, no.
It's not natural.
It's not natural.
No.
And so, but I will say, once you do it,
it's a muscle.
Then, yeah, and you can kind of like, you can relinquish more and more and more, and you become more comfortable and more comfortable. And then it's kind of, you know, it can kind of be a little bit more natural, a little bit more natural.
Yeah, it's highs and lows.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, and once before you do it, you don't know. And then once you do it, you're like, holy shit, I'm micromanaging the shit out of everything or whatever. And I think you should. I think that if you have fucking 5 employees, you should be checking a lot of shit.
Yes.
You should be on it. Like, it's about how you're communicating that, right?
Exactly.
But that's where people get caught up too. I'm like, no. You should, like, it's not even, don't even call it micromanaging. You should be just managing everything.
Yes.
Because you can, and you can look over it. Because that's fundamentally, like, you're going to have to dial in these first, 20 widgets or whatever, and micromanage the shit out of them. So then when you step away for the next 20, everything, they know the standard or whatever, but
I think everything has a science to it. Like, you need to be able to find out when it's not working, right? And like, when people are feeling like you're micromanaging them, finding those tendencies that make you more of a micromanager versus just like an amazing manager, and changing them. Like, I think a lot of it is about growth, right? Like, how do my people feel around me? Like, how am I making them feel? Like, do they feel motivated? Do they want to work? Do they want to put in the stuff? Because sometimes people can thrive through micromanaging, but then other times they can absolutely not thrive. You know what I mean? Like, but it could be a star player. Like, how are people managed best? I think that's a lot of things that don't happen in a small business. Like, they just don't ask their team players questions.
Yeah, and it's also, like, I heard this the other day, is when you walk in the room, which we work mostly virtually, so this doesn't happen. It doesn't happen with me, at least. When you walk in the room, do they tighten up or do they loosen up?
Yes.
You need nothing else other than body language to determine how good a boss is, really.
Oh, I love that. I literally love that because I'd never thought of it like that. But it's the truth. Real.
No, it is. And that's why when they say, like, you can determine everything by body language, like, they're not everything, but there's cues that you can just look for. And that's how it was with that guy, right, that I worked for. He would schedule a team meeting 10 minutes before, 30 minutes before, it's not happening. Yeah, like how much of a red flag is that? I just got used to that, you know? And, like, yeah, when you step on the meeting, everybody's like, oh, shit. You know, and that was like, I mean, I have so many indications. You know, just straight examples that I don't need those things to realize how bad it was. But even that, you know, it's just, you gotta walk the freaking walk, dude. That's why I'm like, I am not hiring a graphic designer until I use Canva for 2 years. I'm not a fucking Photoshop expert. I just want to know how graphic design, placement. So I follow graphic designers on Instagram. I watch their podcasts. I figured, like, okay, I'm not going to hire a video editor until I fucking edit video. I'm not going to hire audio until I edit audio. I'm not going to hire a writer until I write. I'm not going to be good at it. I just got to know it. You know, because you're never going to get perspective.
Like, say that again. Say that again. Because now you have empowerment over the investments that you make, and now you know what you need to invest in. And I can't even tell the amount of people that come to me and say, well, Gabby, like, I hated this person. They didn't do XYZ.
Oh, no.
Like, did you have education? And did you have knowledge over what you were investing in? Yep. Oh, well, no, like, I just thought that No. Like, you hired an accountant, you needed a bookkeeper, right? Like, you hired a graphic designer, you just needed a social media manager. Like, but unfortunately, that's all going to take investments. And if that's money down the drain, that's your issue, not mine.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, respectfully, like, you should have known better. I'm not, like, I think sometimes people really want to pay the sympathy card when all you needed was education. Like, you shouldn't have made that split-second decision, and you should have given yourself some time, and you should have done some education.
Let me drop another bomb on you. I take responsibility for things that aren't even my fault.
All the time. I think it's the logical thing to do.
I kind of like it at this point. Like, I don't mind. Like, that's not pressure for me.
I'll eat it.
I like the challenge, yeah.
Yes.
I'm like, all right, let's see if we can do this then.
Yes.
What'd you fuck up? Nah, we got it.
That was my fault.
That was fucking my shit. Yeah, right. Do that. Yeah, but you know the
and they're staring at you. They're like, no, it was my fault. It was my fault.
No, but and you know the real truth is that you can always tie it back to something you didn't do, you know? And, like, that's to a fault for sure, but, like, for real though, anything that happens under your umbrella within your doors is your fault.
You better be ready to take ownership over it.
Yeah, because they sue companies for things that employees do.
Yes, and it happens all the time in accounting firms too. Taxes gone wrong, taxes not paid.
Yep.
We should all be taking ownership, and I love to use the term radical ownership. Like, even if it wasn't my fault, it was my fault, because if it happened under my supervision, if I was given enough communication or enough, like, then it was my fault, and I should have known better, and I should have done better, or I should have hired better. A lot of it, like, I think a lot of people take responsibility, and they use it as such a bad term. Like, take responsibility. Like, this life is your life.
Bad, whatever. You can take
fucking responsibility.
And all right, so yeah, I don't know if you've read this. It's called Good to Great.
Who's it by?
I don't know who it's.
I'm on it.
Good to Great. Jim Collins.
Okay, I feel like I've probably heard of it, but I don't think I've read it.
Jim Collins.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. So, Good to Great. So he analyzes essentially companies that went from good to great.
Okay.
And he matches how because you kind of have to have like numbers to back it up, because you can't just be like, they're great. So it's companies that beat and try. You could probably find this too in the description of it, but like it's companies that beat the stock market by X percentage over a certain period of time, and turns out there's only so many companies who did that.
Okay.
And it's about how these companies went from good to great. And the companies that, and you have to dive into the book a little bit to understand like the definition a little bit more. And I don't even understand it that well, but one takeaway that I found was the people who would step into the companies that were good, that then transform them to be great, those leaders, everything that went wrong, they would say, it's my responsibility, or it's my fault, whatever. Everything they went right, they were interviewing these people and they couldn't get them to say that it was because of them in any circumstance. It was always because of these people. I hired the right team or whatever, or the right, like I just had this one, my number 2 did it, or our factory workers or the ones that made it happen. Like they would always have an excuse for how things went right. And it was never because of them, even though it 100% was. But in their mind, they just put the pieces together, and then everybody else made it happen.
Like those are my favorite kinds of people. Like those are my favorite kinds of people that are like, no, yeah, okay, great. I know that you want to say that, but X, Y, and Z did it, not me. Or like they deserve the real recognition, or like they did the real work. I love those kind of people. Those are my favorite kind of people. Like if you're willing to put yourself back and to give a spotlight to someone else, you're someone that I want to be around.
Yes. Because
I don't want to hear all about you. I don't want to hear all about your life and what's wrong with it. Right? Exactly. Like I feel like that's probably the biggest trait, right? Like they had the ability to take their ego and put it aside and know that like the goals and the accolades and all of it was great, but they probably had a larger mission in life that they were working towards,
Yep. Yeah, and people don't do this, or they're not doing what you're doing, where you literally have to just listen to somebody talk for like an hour to really understand their problem deeply and actually listen. Or I do this as an exercise for, mostly for me, because I just want to get better at that skill of taking myself out of it, And like that's an ego thing too, of like I'm doing this because I want to better my skills or whatever, but really we don't train that muscle,
Yeah, like are you really listening? Like, Are you really listening? And are you just hearing what you want to hear? Or are you sitting and listening? And I think that a lot of us don't really care about each other. Like at heart, we're so egotistical and we're so full of ourselves that I really don't think we do care. So I think that's why also people always tell me that I'm so unique, because I'll be on a 30-minute networking call with someone, learn all about them, talk all about them, right? Go ahead and get on an email and connect them to a few people afterwards that hopefully will help change the trajectory of their business or their life. And I don't want anything. Like, I don't want anything. And like Bridget gave me a book recently because she's like, I think this is who you are. And it's called The Go-Giver. And she was like, you need to read this. Like, I really think this is like how you practice your business and you don't even know that this is what you do. Like, I want to give you everything because I feel like I'm so blessed and I'm so lucky to have it to begin with. Like, I'm so lucky that I have this network. Let me introduce you to them because I think they're amazing and I think that they're awesome. But I don't think often, like, if I get on a call with you and I tell you I need someone and you're not willing to connect me to that person, that's a red flag to me. Like, we need to be able to share and dip into each other's networks, like, at all times. Like, if I'm hurting, you're hurting too. Like, all ships, like, we rise together or we fall together. Yeah. So we better be able to help each other out. And if you're not willing to help me when I need help, what's that have to say about the and it's not that I'm relying on you two, right? But, like, I feel like if you really, like, not love, but, like, if you really are invested in someone else, you would be willing to do that. And they probably wouldn't even have to ask you. Like, I'll go to clients and they'll do something for me and I'll then go bring them 3 clients. They didn't even ask me to. They didn't even ask me to. They didn't even tell me to. Yep. But I was like, oh, you're fucking amazing. Yep. And I'll go out and find 3 men. You need to go to her. You need to go to her. You need to go to her. You need to use her. Like, those are the kind of people that I want to surround myself with. I think they bring the best referrals. Yep. They speak the most highly of you. And they're people that are in there with you for the long term. Like, you didn't even have to pay them anything. You didn't have to say anything to them. They were just like, this is what you need? And you're like, yeah. And then they go off and get it. You know what I mean? Like, they go off and bring it to you. Like, you got to surround yourself with, like, freaking kick-ass people that are going to answer you before you even ask.
It's sales, too. It's the person that needs it the least has the most leverage, right? That's it. It's like, connect, like, whatever it is. sell me, don't sell me, buy this, don't buy it. Cool.
Exactly.
All good.
I'm good either way.
Are you sleeping good? Are you eating healthy? It's like that's all I care about.
Now tell me, what'd you eat for breakfast this morning?
Wait, cereal?
Come on, like
but
cereal.
For real, like that's
that
really what I care about. It's like, or that's what I'm really interested in, like about
Yeah.
a person. I'm like, what are you working on or whatever? It's like,
yeah, like, are you happy?
Like this is the thing too. Like that's actually what makes what my mindset shift in sales was literally. Oh, I'm just an expert in this thing. Like, if they need the thing, then I'm the person or not.
Yes.
But, like, let's just figure that out really fast so then we can talk about fun stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, or we can just talk about whatever we're doing, or your wife, or our kids, or our dog, or something. Like, I just, like, what are we here to do, But it's that kind of, people think that sales or, like, business, it's like, you got to go out and get them. You got to, like, trick them or something to make sure, like, you got to do this tactic so they psychologically have to buy from you or something like that. Like, if it's a connection call, let's connect. I'm not even going to talk about the business. If it's a fucking sales call, dude, if you're on here to chop it up for me for 20 minutes, like, you're on the wrong call. Like,
you picked the wrong button.
Like, I'm trying to solve your problems.
Yes.
Like, actively just trying to solve your problems.
Yes.
So, and that's the differentiation. But kind of what you said at the beginning of this topic was, which I relate to, which is, so there's he's kind of like a modern day philosopher. His name's Anthony DeMello.
Okay.
And he's a book called Awareness. You probably really like it. And so he says something along the lines of, like, humans will be humans. Mm-hmm. Why did you expect them to be what you thought why did you expect them to be what you thought? Mm-hmm. They're them.
Yeah.
You're somehow putting your expectations have you in front, right? Like, your expectations, not theirs. It's like, and when you came back to, and you touched on your relationship of, like, oh, we're not gonna, act like the other person was supposed to make us feel a certain type of way. Mm-hmm. That's how I feel about everybody. I have people on the podcast all the time. Oh, dude, send me the stuff, the video, I'd love to put it up. I blah blah blah. My network, so blah blah blah. Release day, crickets. Next week, crickets. I follow up 5 times. I don't follow up and get mad at them. I just follow up like a regular. Hey, what's going on? You want to promote this? Here you go. But I have no expectations. Like, this is my thing. In this instance, this is my thing. I'm gonna do with it whatever I want to do with it. You don't really get a say because you agreed that this is what we're doing. Mm-hmm. And so I just have like my expectations, and especially from business, I just don't need people to do stuff. Like, if you do it, great. If you don't, it has nothing to do with me.
Yes, and I think it's like I think a lot of it ties back to, like, servant-based leadership, and, like, I'm here to serve, and, like, I'm here to, no offense, but, like, I'm here to be used. Like, I'm here to be a resource. And I think that I always also take responsibility over the fact that there are people that are going to abuse that, and there are people who are not going to abuse that. But that doesn't mean that I paint them all with the same brush, right? Like, I've had clients that have been amazing, and I've had clients that are horrible, but I'm still going to go ahead and treat each human the same. I'm still going to treat you the same. Even if I think I know why you're on this sales call, I'm still going to treat you the same. Because I think people are deserving of respect. Like, they're deserving of love. Everyone's deserving of love, and everyone's devoid of love in some way, shape, or form. So that's the way I always like to think of it. Like, these clients that are literally crazy, I'm like, I love you, but we can't work together anymore. Yep. And I take the L. Right, I think, like, you and I have probably been burned a lot of times. Oh, fuck probably more than the person that was obsessed with sales, because they always got right to the point. But I think for people like you and me, it's sometimes hard for people to read us, because they're like, okay, well, does he only want me to work with him, or does he only want this? Like, I'm confused. Like, I'll have people that will cancel connection calls with me because they got burned on a previous connection call where they were just pitched. And I'm like, oh, you're painting me with the same brush as someone else. Hey, look, no cool.
Or even look, my partner, he'll be like, these fucking connection calls, like, they, like, he'll just have, it happens. It's just human nature. It's like, you just have the shittiest or the most awkward call in the world, right? Yes. And you never want to do one again. And then the next week, it's like, thank God I talked to this guy. He brought me 3 people. So, yeah, and that's also just being human, too. But what I've just been doing it, I've taken 20 times the amount of connection calls that he has, and he was just kind of getting into it, like made his Calendly like 6 months ago. I've had Calendly for 6 years, motherfucker. Like, I know, I've done, I've asked people deep questions where they were like, what are you getting at? And I'm like, no, dude, I'm genuinely curious, and so it's like, it's just experience, right? At that time
you have to put time in the game. Like, you have to put time in.
And it's hard. It's just a human emotion of like, this call was shit, the next call's gonna be shit, this day is shit, and people just add. It's easy to add shit up like that.
Exactly. Like, I'm like, better off you cancel that, love. Like, that's good, because I probably don't want your energy to begin with.
Exactly. If you're not meant to be here, don't be here. I Gary V, I said it from the beginning of the business too. If you don't have to have a meeting, don't have the meeting.
Yes.
Why are we sitting here?
Yeah.
Like, I got on with my team, I think like 3 weeks ago, and it was our shortest team call ever, 22 minutes or something. Now I'm like, all right, guys, get out of here. Let's go. Do what you got to do.
Right.
Get out. Like, it's done.
Let's go be productive.
Exactly. Like, we don't need to sit around and try to feel good about it, But, so I'm really inspired, definitely impressed by what you guys have built with the vault, with your business. It's really, and I didn't really know the specifics, and it's really nice to hear how you guys are doing financially as well, and what Tyler is doing with his music career, and how that's taking off. And I want to have him on again, like I said, to really deep dive that, because you two are very different, and also you're doing this together, and I love what you guys are doing. Is there anything now that, since you're in this position now, what do you have, new goals? Like, what are you really trying to do, if you look at maybe from now to maybe the next time we do this in a year or something like that?
Yeah. So I think in a year, I'm trying to
and
think.
Hey, you could go 5, 10 out
exactly.
too if you have bigger ones.
Yeah, because normally I go for the 10, which is always crazy. I love big, hairy, audacious goals.
Oh, that is crazy.
We really want to be, of course, like, we want to be millionaires and accumulate like a trust fund for our children, and just really be the generation that changes things for our families and generations before us. We definitely want to, like, I'm not really sure if we necessarily want to own a home. I think we want to own property. We definitely want to have a home in Italy, like a small home, just a vacation. We want to be vacationing like every other month. We do a good amount of vacationing now, but we want to do a lot more like overseas and in different countries. So if anything, my goal is to be paid like $20K a speaking gig and show up to entrepreneur conferences and like all these different conferences and just rock it, sell out, have my network be bringing in like $1 mil to $2 mil a year. And then I really think, honestly, like, when I sit down and think about it, if I don't need to be serving and consulting, like, I'm good with just building out my network. Like, I'm good, like the next generation network that I'm on. Like, I'm good with just building it out and mentoring and coaching through there. But I really think that in 10 years, unless I'm sitting next to a millionaire, billionaire like founder, owner, I don't know. Like, I really don't know if I'm still going to be in the consulting space. Like, I really think that in 10 years, I'm hopefully I'm trying to do a lot of awareness now. Like, I travel to different states and do events there. And my hope and intention is for that to compound, for me to accumulate to getting paid speaking gigs, and then also attracting people into my network, which is like my easiest sell, because it's my lowest level ticket, which also means, right, I need the highest amount of people to get in there. So my hope is that probably in 10 years, like, I'll just be running my network, or I'll sell my network and just be like doing speaking gigs and writing books. Like, although that would be kind of early because I'd only be 37, but I want to go and travel. Like, I want to travel. I want to do weekends away. Like, I want to take my family with me. I think when you get to a level that you realize that if you invest your money wise enough, you can make any amount of money and really make it work. So I think there's like parts of me that's still torn of where I'll be in 10 years, because I love serving people. But if I really had to get down to it, I love sitting in a room of like 10 women and just really all of us getting to know each other, getting to connect with each other and moving forward. So I think like in 5 years or even in 1 year, I'll probably just be working with like one really high level client that pays me a shit ton of money a month because I make them a ton of money a month. And then having networking events like once a month, but like super high level networking events with like awesome kick-ass founders and just like really increasing the amount of people that are at my table that I sit at. I think that would kind of be the dream for me, to just like do one event a month or one event a quarter, and then do like a huge event too that like I just get paid to. Because like technically if I just get paid like 20 to 30K for like 3 or 4 speaking gigs a year and then just have one high level client in my network, I'm good. Like I'm really good. Like I'm quite fine. Like I'd be making a really great amount of money. So I think less is more for me. That's the goal. In a year, I hope to be doing less than what I'm doing now. Like, that makes sense. Yeah. Which like, I don't think anyone ever thinks of, when they say their goals, I don't think they ever think of how much production they'll have to do to get to it. I literally want to be really exploiting the shit out of like 2 good days a week, and then using the rest of the week to sit with my kids, to be with my family and live life. I don't think there's a lot of people that come here on this earth and actually live. Like, I literally think that they just come here to die, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? I want to live. Like, I literally want to live the fuck out of this fucking earth. So they're like, we ain't letting that bitch back. Nope. We ain't letting her back. That bitch been to Cabo 6 times. She's been to freaking Bali 10 times. She's got a home in Italy. Like, I literally want people to look at me and be like, Gab, like, can I come to your house in Italy? Yes. Like, can I come summer at your home in the Hamptons? Yes. Like, I'm going to open the doors. Just come. Exploit. Like, come. Stay with me. Like, let's be friends. Like, let's enjoy life. I'm stay friends with you, Gabby. That's all. Yes. Like, I really think that I'm going to blow the lid off if I keep executing at the rate that I'm executing at. And that's what excites me when people treat me like shit. I'm like, you don't even want to know where I'm going to be in 5 years. Like, you don't even want to know where I'm going to be. Like, you really don't, because you're going to be watching me on the TV. And I pray for you, because you're going to feel like shit. Like, why did I treat that girl like shit? I don't know. You tell me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, actually, you come on my TV show and tell me why you treated me like shit. Like, why you, to like, it's just like so many things that I grew up with, being, you know, my father being Colombian and my mom being Norwegian, and having like a different family household. Like, I was treated very differently as a child, and I was treated very differently in high school than if I was just all one or all the other, right? Like, I had one foot in one universe and one foot in the other. So, like, literally, F you if you treated me differently because of the way that my dad looks, or if you treated me differently because of the way my mom looks, because I hear it from both sides. You're not Hispanic enough. You're not, like, well, we don't know what you are. Like, we don't know where you sit. It's like, well, I'm not going to prove myself to you anymore. You can just watch me succeed, and that's all you got to do. Here you go, front row seat. Here you go, popcorn. Made it, extra butter, because that's the way I like it. Don't like it, sorry, choke. Like, my bad. Like, that's the kind of energy that I like to have. Like, I'm going to show up and fucking blow the lid off this shit. And you're either going to come with me or you're not. And if you're an asshole, I'm going to make sure that no one works with you anymore. But you're not going to know that. But you will in 20 years. Like, I know now why no one worked with me, because I treated Gabby like shit. Like, you got to love people. Like, I just don't get it. Like, just love people. Like, stop treating each other like shit. Like, for real? How are you going to build a business like that? Off of other people's remains? That you scared the living daylights out of them because you were horrible?
It's not sustainable.
No! You can't be a bitch and an asshole to everyone. Nope. You're not going to build a business. You might make it in a 9 to 5, but you're not going to succeed in a business. Mm-hmm. Hell no.
Not in the people game.
No, not in the people game. And that's the game we serve.
Truth.
Okay?
And you got to be good.
We laying each other up, baby.
Exactly.
You got to be able to freaking alley-oop it. You got to be able to slam dunk it. But that's where I think I'll be. Hopefully, we can have this conversation in Italy. In Positano.
I would love to. And
we can pick lemons from our lemon tree, and we can do this by the pool, by our pool overlooking.
We're actually going to do it by the pool.
Yes,
the
we are.
Won't die.
We are going to. Okay, the battery won't die.
We're going to be doing it.
We'll have the film crew. We'll have all of it.
Not just for the picture.
Yeah.
For real.
Oprah will come over for chicken capris after.
She's your neighbor.
She's my neighbor.
Yep.
Oprah's my neighbor. Dr. Phil, who will like literally be on his deathbed at that point in time. A lot of them will be on their deathbed at that point in time. That's why I say we're the next generation. If it's not us, then who is it?
Oh, 100% is.
We got to be it.
Yeah.
We got to be the next fucking Tony Robbins. Mm-hmm. Like, he literally has to kiss it one day.
And it's not going to be these fucking lifestyle entrepreneur assholes who aren't doing shit. It's going to be the executor. It has to be. It has to be.
We got to be up there. We got to be up there.
Yep.
I'm gonna vote you in. You're gonna vote me in.
Let's do it.
We got to do it.
Trent, vote us in, buddy.
I'm voting.
He's like, I'm using this Red Bull. I'm voting, baby.
Let's go.
But Gabby, what a note to end on. Thank you so much for doing this today.
Course.
Whoever, for you listening right now, run that back. All I got to say, take notes and run that back. If you're thinking about doing anything with your life, That's a little beyond the scope of what you're doing now. This is it. Gabby's the person. Follow her. Tret, before we wrap up, you have any questions for Gabby? I just figured.
No, I'm good. We went over a lot, so
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he's like,
It's
I've
a
actually
large coverage.
pissed myself 3 times.
He's like,
so I'm good.
I actually started 2 businesses online while you guys were out.
yeah.
I registered 3 LLCs. Like,
Oh my god! No, it's actually a good thing when Tret doesn't have to dive in normal, because it's like sometimes we need a little. We did not. We could. I think we could have just let Gabby just do this whole thing. I don't think we even need it.
Oh my gosh, stop it.
For real, you could just go, man. I can't wait for your podcast too.
Aw, thank you.
But listen, we threw everything in the show notes in the description as well. But just let people know where they can find you on
Yes. IG is my freaking man cave. So you can find me at No Plan B Consulting, or you can find me at my website, which is www.noplanbconsulting.com.
Beautiful website as well.
Thank you.
Gabby, thank you so much for doing this.
Of course.
today.
I don't know if we were going to do a little
we'll
bit
go.
of
Oh, okay.
don't
All right.
get me there.
Oh,
I'm a lefty. What are you?
I'm ready.
So are you using your right arm right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You have the pinky out.
All right. She got
Just take it. You just take the L. You're like, actually, this is a prosthetic arm, and I lost.
I just
arm.
lost a game of arm wrestling on my own
Right?
podcast, but we're gonna do this again.
Yes.
And I will not be
a lefty.
defeated again.
No, you will not.
Because we have
You
that
can do
mindset
Tyler.
and we have to win.
Yes.
Tyler, that will be a real.
He'll be like,
that
what's
would be the
going
real.
on?
That'll actually throw him off. I think a little
No,
bit.
we'll throw him off his game. Do it at the beginning.
That's what we got.
Yeah,
Okay.
get him off
I'll
his
just
rocker.
open with it.
Yeah, he's like,
What's
going
going
on, man? I know this was a what? I gotta go. What do you mean you gotta go?
Actually, I'm gonna hit him up. Let's have him on too.
Yes.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah, please.
Thank you so much for doing this. This is so much fun. I
course.
just
Thank you.
I love the energy. I love this podcast. I love what you're doing, and that has been another episode of Bobcast. Thank you, Tret, for doing this today, buddy.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in as well. And we're on all the platforms, even the ones nobody uses.
Yes.
Okay? See you on the next one. Deuces.
See you.
Peace.